Hello everyone, I'm Lavish and today we will be discussing the problem named maximum GCD. This problem recently appeared in the October lunchtime 2021 and the difficulty level of this problem is medium. There are no such prerequisites required to solve this problem. You should be aware with the GCD. The problem is mainly based on the observations. So we will see it in the solution. So yeah, directly let's move to the solution. Okay, so in this problem, we are given an array of n elements, let's say a1, a2, and so on up to an. And it says that we define the goodness of an array A as the GCD of all the elements of the array. So the goodness of A is defined as GCD a1, a2, and so on up to an. So suppose the array A is 15, 45, and 18. Then the GCD of this array is GCD of 15 and 45, which is 15, and then GCD of 15 and 18, which is 3. So the GCD of this array is 3. So this is how we define the goodness of the array A. Okay, so now once we have this goodness, what we have to do? So we are given that we need to choose two numbers, AI and AJ, such that I is not equals to J, and we need to replace both of these numbers by their product. And once we have replaced these two numbers, we can again find the goodness of the new array, and we want to maximize the goodness of the resulting array that we will get. So this is our problem. Okay, so let's first solve the subtask 1 of this problem. So in the subtask 1, we are given that the constraints are 2 is less than equals to n is less than equals to 2000. That is, the number of elements in our array will not exceed 2000. And we are also given that each element will be between 1 and 1 in 9. These are the constraints that are given in our problem. Okay, so how to solve this problem? So we have this array A and we are choosing two indices I and j. So suppose I choose these two indices. So I will be affecting these two values and I need to calculate the GCD of this complete new array and report the maximum possible value for it. So can I just iterate over these indices I and j? So suppose I start iterating, I say that my I will go from 1 to n and then my j will go from I plus 1 to n. Then what I need to do? I need to calculate the GCD of the new array. And finally, take the maximum possible values among all these goodnesses. So I can see that I have overall n square iterations of these instructions. I will need to do these steps very fast. I can't take order n time for these steps. So first of all, getting this new array is not so costly because I just have two values getting changed, the value at index I and j, and therefore I can calculate it in order one time. However, the main task is to calculate this goodness of the new array. So how can we calculate this goodness of the new array in very efficient manner? So let's see this. Okay, before going through that, suppose I've got my goodness of the new array, then I can easily take max in order one time. So overall my problem will be then solved. So let's learn how we can calculate the goodness of the new array. So suppose this is my array and these are the indices that I'm choosing. So what I want to do, I want to calculate the GCD of this new subarray quite efficiently. First of all, I can calculate the GCD of this subarray. Let us call this G1. So G1 is nothing but the GCD of the prefix of our array. Similarly, I can calculate the GCD of this part. Let us call it G2. And G2 is nothing but the GCD of suffix of our array. Now I have this third part. I need to calculate the GCD of this third part. Let's say the GCD is current G. How we can calculate it? We will see it soon. So this is my third part. And my fourth part are these two values, which will be AI multiplied by AJ. And because these two values will be same after choosing these two indices, so I can just take the fourth value as AI multiplied by AJ. So now I have these four values and I want to calculate the GCD of these four values. So the overall goodness will be nothing but GCD of G1, G2, current G, and AI multiplied by AJ. Okay, so we can calculate G1 and G2 before starting our loops. So we can calculate them, we can calculate both of them in order n time, and then we can access them in order one time. However, the issue is how to get this current G. Also know that we can again get AI multiplied by AJ in order one time once we know the values of I and J. So the main concern is calculating this current G. So if you will note, we can actually store this current G as the running GCD. So what I want to say, so we will start our loop when J is equals to I plus 1. This is how I'm starting my loop. At that point of time, my current G will be 0 because I have no two elements, because I have no element between I and J. So my current G will be 0. Now suppose at some point of time I have some elements and I have this current G representing the GCD of these elements stored in some variable. So how can I update this current G? So suppose I update my J from J to J plus 1. Then I have the new current G as the GCD of my old current G and the new value that is now getting added into this subarray. So what we are doing, suppose this was my loop going on and I had my value of current G calculated. Now I will jump from J to J plus 1, and in jumping, this new element will be introduced into this subarray. So therefore I can update my current G by taking the GCD of this current G and this new value that I am merging into my subarray. So that's how I can update my current G while running through the loop and overall get the goodness of the array in order one time. So once I can get all these three values, I can do all these three calculations in order one time, my algorithm will become order n square. And this algorithm is fine for us to clear the subtask 1 of this problem. So now we have seen the solution of the subtask 1 of the problem. The solution was nothing but we were just iterating over the indices I and j that we will be choosing and we will multiply them. The main point was to calculate the GCD of the new array in an efficient manner. And once we have done that, we are good to go to the subtask 2. So now let's see how we can solve the subtask 2 of this problem. So in the subtask 2, we are given that n can now go up to 10 raised to the power 5. And the constraints on the AIs are same. They can go up to 10 raised to the power 9. And now we want to find out the maximum possible goodness that we can achieve. So, okay, so how can we calculate this value? So let's say in our array, I've chosen indices I and j, and I've got k as my final answer. That is, k represents the maximum goodness of an array that I can have. I have chosen two indices, I and j, and I have modified the values of these two indices. Once I have modified the value of these two indices, I am saying that the answer, that is the GCD of this array, would now be k. Okay, so because the GCD of this new array is k, it means that this value must have been a multiple of k, right? Because the GCD of complete array is now k, it means that every element is a multiple of k. Now I have changed only these two indices, the values of these two indices. So this means that all the old values on present on the other indices were a multiple of k. Okay, so this means that there are n minus 2 values in our original array which are multiples of k. Consider any three numbers in our array. Now, because n minus 2 of them are a multiple of k, this means that at least one of these elements will be a multiple of k. So what we can say from this observation, we can actually factorize are all these three numbers. Let's say this the list of the factors is f, then I can say that k will be present in f. And what will be the size of f? So because the numbers are going up to 10 raised to the power 9, number of factors are order ai raised to the power 1 by 3. So this is an important fact. If you are not aware of this fact, then this is a good fact to keep in mind. So because the number of factors of a number ai are order ai raised to the power 1 by 3, we can say that the number of factors of a1, a2 and a3 will be of order 10 raised to the power 3. Now, once we have this list, I'm sure that my k is present in this list. So now what I want to solve? I want to say that suppose lambda is an element of k, then can lambda be my answer? And from all these possible answers, I will choose a maximum and report it as my answer. So now the problem is, given an element lambda of f, so given a number lambda, can I say that I can choose two numbers I and j such that goodness of the complete array after the operation will be a will be lambda. Okay, so now we have this value lambda and we want to find out if this lambda can be a possible answer. Okay, so what are the conditions for this lambda to be a possible answer? So as you have seen, it must be a factor of n minus 2 numbers in our array. This is the first condition. The second condition is okay, n minus 2 or more. Not just exactly n minus 2, we can have more numbers which are factors of, which are multiples of lambda. Okay, and the second condition is that suppose there are n minus 2 numbers which are multiples of lambda, then the product of remaining two numbers should be a multiple of lambda, right? Because we will be replacing the two numbers by this value. So this is my condition. So can I quickly check this condition? So how much time will I take to check this condition? So I can iterate over my array and I can keep a count of number of elements such that ai mod lambda is 0. So I can keep a running count of this value for the values of I for which this condition is holding. And I can also store in two variables the exact values of ai and nj such that this condition is not holding. And finally, after my loop, I can check if the multiple of these two numbers, let's say they are stored in the variable a and b, then if the product of these two numbers is divisible by lambda or not. If these two conditions are valid, then the lambda is one of the possible answers, otherwise not. Okay, so let's summarize the algorithm first for the subtask 2. What we have done, we have first observed that the final answer that we have, let's say k, is a factor of large number of numbers that are present in our array. Specifically, it will be a factor of at least n minus 2 elements. And from this fact, we were able to say that if we take any three numbers from our array, then our answer will be a factor of at least one of them. And we have actually utilized this fact to calculate our answer. What we have done, we have first factorized these three numbers and stored the factors in a list f. we have seen that the number of factors are order ai raised to the power 1 by 3. So the number of elements will be somewhat like order 10 raised to the power 3 in some thousands numbers that we will have in our array in the list F. Then, then we have seen that our answer is present in this list. So we want to find out the maximum element present in this list such that it can be a potential answer. Now, for each element in the list, we have seen an order n approach to calculate whether it can be a potential answer or not. So once we iterate over the complete list, we will be able to get our answer. So what is the final complexity of this algorithm? So we will first need to factorize three of our numbers. So it will take root ai time. After that, we will be iterating over all the factors. So number of factors multiplied by, for each factor, we will be taking order n time. So we need to multiply this value by n. So this is the final time complexity for the subtask 2 that we are having. Okay, now let's move on to the subtask 3. So in subtask 3, we are given that n can now go up to 2 into 10 raised to the power 5. And the important change is that ai can now go up to 10 raised to the power 18. So can we use our algorithm of the subtask 2? Well, no, because first of all, we will not be able to factorize our numbers in a good time. Also, the number of factors will now be changing up to 10 raised to the power 6, and therefore this whole iterating over the factors is not reasonable for the subtask 3. So one of the important things when we consider the problems related to GCDs are, so, so suppose I am calculating the GCD, running GCD of my array. So suppose this is some array, and I started with my GCD saying that initially my GCD is nothing but A1. And now suppose I'm calculating the GCD of the prefix of this array. So what will happen? So for this element, the GCD will either remain A1 or will get decreased. So we will have some G2, then we will get some G3, G4, and so on up to Gn. So now an interesting observation is that there are at most log of ai distinct values of G that are possible if we consider this set G1, G2, and so on up to Gn. So can we prove this? So the proof is very simple. So each time when the G changes, it will be decreased by a factor which will be either 2 or more than 2. So each time I'm getting a distinct value of G, I am decreasing my AI by 2 or more, and that's why I will have at most log 2 AI distinct values of G in these GCDs of prefixes. So this observation is quite useful and it helps to solve several problems, and we will see that it will actually help in solving this problem also. So let's see how. Do you remember the approach that we have seen in the subtask 1? What we were doing? We were just iterating over our I and j, and we were calculating the goodness of the new array and taking the maximum of those goodnesses. So the problem in that approach was that there are too many values of I and j that we are iterating over. Specifically, they are order n square, and that's why we cannot use that approach here. Okay, so can we somehow decrease the number of iterations that we are having? If we are able to sufficiently reduce our iterations, then we are done, right? Okay, so consider these two elements. Let's say this is index I minus 1 and this is index I. And suppose we have calculated the prefix GCDs of the array, and the corresponding prefix GCDs are Gi minus 1 and Gi. Okay, now suppose that Gi minus 1 is equal to Gi. Let's assume that they are equal. Now I'm currently pointing at this index and I'm iterating over the indices j, which I can take. And I'm calculating the new goodness and taking the maximum. All that thing is going on. So now suppose that the new goodness that I'm getting is k of this complete subarray. So what does that mean? This means that k is the GCDs of these values, the values present in the middle, the GCD of the prefixes, and the value of I multiplied by value of j. Right? This is what we have seen in the subtask 1. So this means that gi minus 1, which is the prefix GCD of first I minus 1 element. So gi minus 1 is a multiple of k, because to calculate k, I will be taking the GCD of gi minus 1 with some other values. So I can easily say that gi minus 1 is a multiple of k. Also, because gi is equals to gi minus 1, this means that so value of I was already a multiple of k. Now, this value of j is now modified to ai multiplied by aj, and that's how it has now also become a multiple of k. Also, these values were a multiple of k. So just to summarize, because the answer is k, my gi minus 1, the GCD of the elements in the middle, and the GCD of the suffix are all multiples of k. Because gi minus 1 is equals to gi, the ai is also a multiple of k, and the new value of j, the new value at index j will be ai multiplied by aj, and that's how it's also a multiple of k. Now suppose instead of modifying this value as ai dot aj, I modify this value as ai minus 1 dot aj. That is, I'm choosing indices I minus 1 and j. So I will claim that I can still get k as my answer. How? Note that all the values except this j are for sure already a multiple of k. Now note that because gi minus 1 is a multiple of k, ai minus 1 is also a multiple of k. So ai minus 1 is a multiple of k, right? Because the GCD up to I minus 1 elements are a multiple of k. So I can see that if I multiply aj with ai minus 1, this new value will become a multiple of k, right? So what we want to say? We want to say that when I was multiplying ai and aj, I was transforming this value to be a multiple of k. Now instead, I can just get the same result by multiplying the indices I minus 1 and j. And this is valid for all j. So we can say that we don't need to iterate over the index I. We don't need to choose I as one of our indices, because we can get the same results when choosing I minus 1. Okay, so this is a great observation. Now we have seen that there are only order log AI indices where this equality will not hold, and therefore the possible values for I are just log 10 raised to the power 18. These many are the possible indices that I can take as one of our index, which we will like to multiply. So what I'm saying, I'm saying that those indices I such that gi is not equals to gi minus 1 are interesting indices. So this has now greatly reduced our time complexity. How? Because now I have logged AI possible values of indices that I will choose, that I will select I from. And for j, I can simply iterate over all the indices from I plus 1 to n and get the GCD of the new array in the same way that we have calculated in the subtask 1, and get the maximum of all these goodnesses to get our answer. So let me summarize the approach that we are having for solving this complete problem. So we have started by saying that we can iterate over all the indices I and j and get our answer in order n square. The problem with that approach was that order n square is too much. We are iterating over too many indices to calculate our final answer. So we need to somehow reduce the number of indices that we are iterating over. Now an interesting observation that we had was that there are only order log AIs, such GCDs, which are distinct if we calculate the GCDs of all the prefixes. So how is it useful? It is useful in the following way. So I'm choosing my first index as I, and now I'm iterating for my second index that I need to choose. Suppose the k is the goodness of the array after but after replacing the values at index I and j by their product. So we are claiming that we can actually get the same value or maybe even a better value by choosing the indices I minus 1 and j. So what we are saying? We are saying that if the prefix GCDs are not changing, then it doesn't make sense to iterate over this I as our first index. This is how we have shown this mathematically. And now because there are only order log AI such indices which will have this condition, we just need to iterate over all these order log AI conditions, order log AI indices as our first index I. And for our second index, we can follow the same approach of going from I plus 1 to n, then calculating the goodness of the new array and taking the maximum over all these goodnesses. And we have already seen that we can do these operations in order one time, and that's how we can bring our overall time complexity to order log AI multiplied by n. So this was the solution of this problem. There is an interesting fact here. You can actually have one more optimization and reduce the time complexity to order n plus log AI square. However, I will not discuss this approach. This order log AI multiplied by n is fine to get an easy. This is an interesting task to think of. I would highly recommend you to sit for some time and think how we can reduce the time complexity even further. So that's all. Let's now move on to the code. Okay, so first we are taking the number of test cases as our input and calling the solve function. So let's move on to the solve function. So initially we will be taking the number of elements from the input, and then we will be taking our array from the input. Now we have seen that we will require the GCD of the prefixes of our array. So I'm calculating those uh, GCDs and storing them in the array tree to denote the prefix GCDs. So note that for I equals to 0, my base case, the GCD will be nothing but the element itself. And for the further i's, my GCD will be the GCD of prefix of I minus 1 and the current value. In the similar way, I'm calculating the GCDs of the suffixes and storing them in the array. And now our main algorithm will start. So this was a part of the pre-calculation. Now I'm saying that let's initialize my answer as 0. Now for all the i's, such that I is either 0 or the prefix of I is not equals to prefix of I minus 1, I need to do something. So I is equals to 0 is a corner case in our algorithm because prefix of I minus 1 is not defined in this case. That's why it's a corner case. So either I is equals to 0 or prefix of I is not equals to I minus 1. In these cases, I will be iterating over further elements. Otherwise, I'm sure that I cannot take this value as a first index. I can take, but like we can avoid taking this value as a first index. Okay, so now suppose this condition is true, then I'm storing in G1 the GCD of the prefixes up to I minus 1. Now current J denotes the GCD of the middle elements as we have discussed before, and I'm updating it in when iterating over the J's. And now in G2, I am storing the GCD of the suffixes from J plus 1. So first, I am storing in G the GCD of these three values, and then I am doing something. Okay, so let's discuss this part. Remember that we were having four elements: the GCD of the prefixes, the GCD of the middle elements, which is current G, and the GCD of the suffixes G2. And finally, we were having AI multiplied by AJ. And we were saying that a new goodness G is nothing but GCD of all these four elements. Okay, so let's say the GCD of these three elements is G. So this is nothing but GCD of G and AI multiplied by AJ. Now the issue is that AI and AJ are both going up to 10 raised to the power 18. So we cannot simply multiply them and calculate our GCD. We have to choose some other part to calculate this GCD. So how we can calculate this GCD? We can say that let K1 denotes the GCD of G and AI. So let's say this is the GCD of, let's say the K1 is the GCD of G and AI. Now we can calculate K2 as the GCD of AJ and G upon K1. And we can now say that K1 multiplied by K2 is nothing but our original answer. So how to get these equations, like how we can think of these equations? Well, you can just try to write some factors and you will be able to see that this will in fact lead us to the original answer. So this is what I'm doing in my code. I'm first calculating the GCD of array I and G, and then I'm calculating the GCD of array J and G upon K1. And finally, I'm saying that my answer is nothing but the maximum of all the answers that I've seen till now and the GCD of G and this value, K1 multiplied by K2. And finally, I'm just updating my current G. So that's all with the code of this problem. Let's go and submit this code. So I'm at the submission page of the Axiom GCD problem. So let's submit this code. So meanwhile this code is running, we can just iterate over the important points that we need to take care. First of all, take care of the base case of the calculation of GCDs of the prefixes and suffixes. So for the zeroth index, it should be the first element, and similarly the GCD of the last element will be nothing but the last element itself. Then, while iterating over the useful i's, we need to take care of this case when I is 0, because prefix of I minus 1 is not defined in this case. That's why it's a corner case for us and we will have to take care of this case. And finally, take care of this part. We cannot directly calculate the GCD of G and array I multiplied by array J because it will lead to overflows. That's why we need to take care of that part. So these are the things that we need to take care of. Let's go back again to the submission page. Okay, so we have got our results and we have got a correct answer. So this was the editorial of this problem. Thank you very much. Have a good day.